Hello. I was thinking tonight about what we think of as mental illness in our society and the different kinds of mental illness. I've been accused of being mentally ill because I have depression and anxiety. And tonight I was very briefly on a show, on the Lying Ghosts show on Skype. And one of the guests was Lord Stephen Christ, who is he's very convinced that he's God, that he is basically the reincarnation of Christ. And, the reaction to him was they basically mocked him. At least that's how it sounded to me. They mocked him, and when the show was over, they basically theorized whether he was either a troll or he was mentally ill. And and I'm like, well, wouldn't Christ, if a Jesus existed 2,000 years ago, and he was basically talking very much like Lord Stephen Christ talks now, wouldn't people perceive him as mentally ill too? Anyway, I get a little bothered when people start throwing out accusations of mental illness, because I feel like there's different. I think in some respects everybody has mental illness to some degree. What is normal? What is somebody who is not mentally ill supposed to be? What does that look like? You're driving down the road and all of a sudden everybody's slowing down. And you realize that there's an accident. And there's all these lights and, the cars. Clearly there's some bad stuff that's going on. Something bad has happened. No matter what. I mean, it could just be a tow truck on the side of the road with his lights on. People slow down. People want to look. People want to check it out. Isn't that kind of strange? Isn't that kind of sick? What are they hoping to see? One time when we were traveling in Eastern Washington, we went by an accident that had just happened. And I did that. I did the look thing. And I saw a man in a ditch. It was a truck with a boat, and the truck had flipped and the boat had flipped. Or maybe, I think what had happened, this is a while ago, so I'm trying to remember. They hit a curve, the guy hit a curve, and his boat flipped and dragged the truck over. And they were, both the boat and the truck, I mean, they were still attached, were in this trench between the two different directions of highway. And there was already somebody there. Look, I don't remember if it was an aid car or if it was a police officer or what, but there was already somebody there on the scene helping the guy that was the driver. And I remember looking down and seeing this man sitting on the ground with his legs in front of him, and blood was just gushing. The guy was trying to wrap bandages around the driver's head, and blood was just gushing out between the bandages because, head injuries bleed really bad. And so this was pretty bad. And the moment I saw it, I'm like, oh God, I wish I hadn't have seen that. So now I'm one of those, when I'm on the freeway and people are slowing down to look at an accident, I'm just wanting to get by as fast as possible. I don't want to look. I just want to go past it and not look. And I kind of get angry that people have this morbid fascination with, wanting to see the bad. And in a way that strikes me as, oh, that's sick. These people are sick. They want to see. But then I'm like, okay, but maybe could it also be considered sick that I don't want to see? That I'm willing to take a big old wall right here, put blinders on and tune it out. La 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 la, this isn't happening. Basically protect myself from the bad. Shield myself from the bad thing and have a nice happy life and not have to see anything ugly or anything disturbing or upsetting because it's going to make me feel bad. So in this scenario, who's really mentally ill? Is it the people who slow down and look? Or is it people like me who don't want to look because it's disturbing and upsetting? You know, I personally think that both of those examples could be construed as somebody, some form of, you know, and maybe mentally ill isn't the right word for it, but I guess this depends on how you, what side of the fence you're on when you're looking at something. You know, I've been called mentally ill because I had a hard time dealing with losing people I love. And I finally just, I guess, got to the point where I just didn't want to take it anymore, and I didn't want to accept anymore, and I wanted to be in denial, and I wanted desperately to not believe it. And I think that's partly what developed my depression for me. But, you know, what about the person that lived with me for 3 years? What about the person who, you know, he saw that I wanted to be his friend and that I wanted to show him caring and friendship after he had a bad breakup? You know, I came from a bad breakup too, losing my marriage and having to come to grips with the fact that my husband didn't love me and maybe never had loved me, and I had spent most of my life with somebody that maybe never loved me, and my childhood feeling like I wasn't loved, even if I was loved, because my mom was mentally ill. I never got to feel that. So here I am in my 40s now, and I don't really know if I've ever been loved, and I'd like to know how that feels. And just having a friend, just having friends and feeling cared about and loved by friends is enough. When you've never felt love, or you don't think you've ever felt real love, it's enough. But to have somebody take advantage of you when you're trying to show them friendship and trying to show them that they're cared for when they're going through a bad time, and they turn around and they take advantage of that, and they let you think that they're reciprocating as friends and that they care for you too, when you go out of your way to try to be there for them and care for them and help them. And then in the end, they can't really handle, maybe they didn't expect to need you so much because, you know, they got sick, and they didn't expect to have to need you so much, and you weren't supposed to play such a big role, you know, and suddenly you are playing a big role, and they really don't want to have any long-term connection or any kind of they don't really mean to be you know, that's kind of what I think. I think the guy came to live with me and he got sick, and then it turned out that he needed me more than he had planned on needing me, and in the end he resented me because I had done all these things for him, and he had no intention of really being my friend or having a real friendship with me. You know, it was just a convenient thing at the time for him, and then it turned out to be a lot more because he got sick and he needed me to care for him, and then when it was all over and he got better, then he resented me because he wasn't prepared to be my friend for real, or be my friend like we had the close, what I thought was a close friendship that we had here. And so since he couldn't deal with it, he just completely shunned me and blocked me from his life and pretended like I didn't exist and had never existed. And isn't that a kind of mental illness too? You know, isn't that a kind of mental illness when you put yourself into somebody's world and basically put them in a situation where if they don't do this, they're going to look and feel like a really bad person. But if they do this, they're going to end up being resented and actually shunned because they make you feel uncomfortable because they did all these things that you needed them to do. You know, I guess what I'm trying to say, and this isn't coming out well at all, is I think we all have deficiencies. We all have weaknesses. We all have things that we can't deal with very well. And some of us have strengths where other people are weak. And some of us are weak where other people are strong. And that's why we're all so different. Because we can't all be strong in the same places in all the same ways. I don't know. I don't like mocking people because they're different. I don't like mocking people because they seem, I don't mock Lord Stephen Christ. I don't believe that he's Christ. But he manifests himself. He exists. He shows himself that he exists. To me, that gives him points ahead of the Christian God that does not manifest himself, does not bother to manifest himself in any way at all, and yet is perfectly okay with throwing people into a lake of fire to suffer and be tortured forever for not believing in him. And then Christians are like, oh, well, it's really important to God that you're saved, that everybody's saved. No, it isn't. Because if it was, he would manifest himself. He would make himself seen. Or he would, he knows everything. So he knows, I've said this before in other videos, he knows what it would take for each of us to believe in him. Even those of us who have a hard time, hearsay, or because a book says so, isn't sufficient for all of us. Some of us need more, and he would know what that more is. He would know what it would take for me to believe. So why isn't he doing that? Why isn't he putting that in my path? See, he doesn't manifest himself. The God of Christianity does not manifest himself. The one thing I give credit to for Lord Stephen Christ is there he is. He's showing himself to exist. He's come up with his what he thinks is true, and he's not afraid to talk about it and declare it. And I don't think that somebody like that should be mocked. I don't believe in him. I don't think that he mentally thinks like I do. I don't know if I'd call him mentally ill. Because again, the more I look around at other people and what other people do, I see that we're all deficient. We all do things that hurt other people. This guy who I cared for, I don't know if he was a real asshole or if he just couldn't handle the idea that a woman had seen him at his worst, or a woman that he didn't really think very highly of had been there for him when people that he really did think highly of weren't there for him. Of all his friends that he valued and that he still values to this day, they weren't there for him, and I was somebody he didn't value. That's got to be hard for him to deal with. So anyway, I don't know. This is another one of those videos I'm making where I don't feel like I'm making much sense. I guess people are mentally ill, but they're still people. And people who call other people mentally ill really need to take a good hard look in the mirror, because some of the actions that you do, who judge other people to be ill, maybe if you really look hard in the mirror at your own actions, you might see how that might not necessarily be so healthy either. Liking somebody because they're beautiful, or liking beautiful people because then you are perceived as being better or more handsome, or I don't know, not a loser so much. People do funny things and a lot of hurtful things, and I think it's because people are insecure and people are trying to fit in, or people are trying to, I don't know. But I think there's a lot more people out there that are mentally deficient than there are healthy people. And in fact, I don't know people that are calling other people mentally ill obviously think that they themselves are not mentally ill. And I guess my problem with that is, what do they base that on? You know. Anyway, this is making me really sad, and I don't want to keep talking about it because I don't think this video is making any sense. I just think that people are all valuable, and people have good hearts, and I don't think anybody deserves to be mocked, and I don't think anybody deserves to be shunned or thrown away like garbage. People make mistakes. People try hard, and I think showing support for somebody and understanding and forgiveness and caring matters more than anything. And regardless if you think they're ill or deficient or broken or what you think of them, everybody still has value. Anyway, I'm really tired. I think I'm just going to go to bed, and I don't even know if I'm going to put this one up. It's just one of those, I can't get it out when I'm trying to say videos. So if I do put it up and you have watched, thanks for listening. Bye.